Hi, welcome back. Attorney Steve Andre. Today, breaking legal news with the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, passing a new non-compete rule. Okay, this means many of you may recall you've entered into a contract with your employer many times because you need the job. They won't negotiate these terms and you go, well, I'll sign it. I need the job. Well, many of your clauses, check your employment contracts, check your policy handbooks, things like that. Many of your contracts may contain a non-compete clause. This means you can't leave your job and go work for a competitor or even sometimes start your own company because you're bound by this non-compete agreement. And many employers, especially the bigger firms and the high-tech firms, will enforce these because they don't want you learning their technology and going off to a new company. So they can really be heavy-handed in enforcing these non-compete terms. We see them in trade secret cases that we handle. So I want to go over this with you real quick. This is general legal information only, not legal advice. But the FTC, they have a proposed fact sheet on their site. FTC is the Federal Trade Commission located in Washington, D.C. This is a federal agency, okay, with rulemaking authority. Congress passed an act many, many years ago which allows them authority. Typically, what we're looking at is FTC Section 5, which deals with the concept of unfair competition. Well, that can be a lot of things, so the FTC has a lot of authority. I know this proposed rule, I should say final rule, is going to be challenged by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and we'll go over that in another video if needed. But it's a new rule that basically says the final rule bans non-compete agreements with all workers, including senior executives, after the effective date. So this is going to go into effect 120 days after it's published on the Federal Register. Okay, so it'll be published 120 days later, it will be effective. In other words, according to this new rule, across the United States, this is federal, right? Many states have their own, like California has their own non-compete rules, which are already pretty good to protect the employees. But this will cover those states that don't have such a rule. Okay, but after the effective date, you cannot enter into a non-compete agreement. There's very few exceptions. It does appear that the sale of a business, if I'm selling you my RV dealership, and you're buying the dealership, they don't want me to go open up another dealership down the road. So there are sale of the business exceptions, and franchisor, franchisee contracts also appear to be exempt. Again, check your rules with your counsel. All right, so under Section 5, the FTC deems this to be an unfair method of competition, failing to allow people to get out and start new jobs or get higher paying jobs by leaving the job that they're in. Okay, so it's deemed to be an unfair method of competition. I'm going to read you what they say under Section 910.2, unfair methods of competition. 1, to enter into or attempt to enter into a non-compete clause. So even attempting to do that with someone will be against the FTC rules. 2, to enforce or attempt to enforce a non-compete clause. 3, to represent that the worker is subject to a non-compete clause. So if you say, hey, if you're leaving, you're under a non-compete clause, that's going to be prohibited. Okay, let's go back here. For existing non-competes, so say you're already in one, the final rule adopts a different approach for senior executives than for other workers. So if you're a senior executive, you're already in a non-compete, that can still be enforceable. You just can't do it in the future. What is a senior executive's existing non-competes can remain in force. Existing non-competes with workers other than senior executives are not enforceable. So if you are not deemed a senior executive, they can't enforce it against you. In fact, they're going to, per the rule, they're going to need to send you a notice, a written notice, delivered by hand to you or by mail to the worker's last known personal address or by email at an address belonging to the worker. They have to send you a notice that you are not bound by this non-compete, so you're not nervous about starting a new business or taking a higher paying job, okay? So, but what is it says here, fewer than 1% of the workers will be estimated to be senior executives, so it's a very small number. But let's see, what is a senior executive under the rule? This is interesting. Specifically, the final rule defines the term senior executive to refer to workers earning more than $151,000 $164 annually, and who are in policy-making positions, okay? So you have to be making more than that and have some say in policy for the company. The FTC estimates that banning non-competes will result in, tell me if you think, agree with this, reduced health care costs of 74 to 194 billion in reduced spending on physician services over the next decade. If you know what they're talking about, I don't quite understand that. Drop some comments down below. New business formation, I do agree with this, a 2.7% increase in the rate of new firm formation, resulting in about 8,500 additional new businesses created each year. Like I said, in our trade secret cases that we handle, you have high-tech employees learning the business, and then the employer says, well, you can't go and leave. I'm going to hit you with that non-compete agreement. So this is very, very important. So we should see more jobs. I do agree with that. We should also see, according to the FTC, a rise in innovation, an average of 17,000 to 29,000 more patents each year. So if you're starting new companies, maybe you're getting new patents, okay? This reflects an estimated increase of about 3,000 to 5,000 new patents in the first year non-competes are banned, rising to about 30,000 to 53,000 in the 10th year. So it's pretty significant. Again, innovation spurs new companies, spurs new employment, hopefully higher paying jobs. The average, this is very important as well, higher worker earnings. The FTC estimates 400 to 488 billion, that's B as in biscuit, in increased wages for workers over the next decade. So that's a lot. And it says this will average out to about an extra $524 per year. Doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it's nice to make more money than less money. When you're free to go and peddle your services to the highest payer, it's nice. You will probably make more money, hopefully. So lots of financial, economic reasons for the rule. Again, it takes place 120 days after the publication in the Federal Register. There are, of course, with FTC, there's possible enforcement actions, civil penalties, things like that. And so you want to make sure that you're following this. For employers, there is some model language that you can find to send those notices to your employees that they're not going to be subject to the non-compete. But there you is. It's a general legal overview. Attorney Steve, FTC, IP lawyer, business, trade secret law. Hey, if you need some help, you know where to find us. On the web at attorneysteve.com. And hey, don't forget to hit that like button, punch it. Thanks for watching. Now you know a little bit more about non-competes, more than the average bear. Have a great day, Attorney Steve Vondran. I gotta go. Bye-bye.